All right, people. So I feel as though we've kind of started our topic of the day, because obviously sometimes you kind of have a particular direction that we want to go and things of that nature. But I knew our good brother here is versed on so many different things in it. So I just thought, we're going to talk about a plethora of different things, right? But for those who don't know you, because I feel as though like the first introduction to you, I could be wrong, please correct me,
No, yeah.
was from Dope Black Dads.
Okay, cool. Dope.
Right? Please let people know about that and also like who you are.
It's been a bit of a dope journey, and many people have jumped on at different points, right? So, if you met me in the 2003 to 2007, 8, you would know me through G Hop, which was a lifestyle movement, like almost trying to create hip hop culture for grime. So grime is the G in G Hop. So imagine that. So it was like magazine and CDs and clothing and all those things, right? So that was the original one. So I met a lot of musical relationships through there. Then shortly afterwards, I created Sunday Show, which was a Sunday weekly comedy music event. And Sunday Show was like a place where you could go on a Sunday and for 5 hours you just escape. But we had Mo the Comedian was our host. He's probably our biggest export. Ed Sheeran did most of his shows in the black community there. And we can't say we founded him because he was dope already. He was on SBTV, but he did our show probably the most at that time. We did parties with like Drake and Nicki and Rick Ross, and all of that was happening at the same time. And then I was always working in advertising. I created my advertising career in 2007, but then I started focusing on that. I was working at Samsung, working at Manchester City, working at WPP Agency Group. Then it got to like 2018, 19, and fatherhood was just kicking my ass, for lack of a better language. And I needed to commune on what's going on for other people and really just share the experiences and be like, is this what's going on for you? Or am I just really, really bad at this? And I kind of went in ready to be really, really bad at this. And then I realized that in exploring fatherhood with more men, maybe I understood that maybe I had more tools than some. And I thought actually I had more to share than I did to receive in that context. So built Dope Black Dads in 2018. 2020, I turned that into Beloved. So the focus of Dope Black Dads was about fatherhood. Beloved became about improving marginalized people's experience in the West, for a lack of better language. Okay. But I think we then evolved into what we call human strategists. So it's understanding people and why the far right is the far right and what messages they have received that make this possible. What happens, is there a far left, and what does that look like, and what's the impact, and what does the identity of being trans have on society? So understanding humanity in relation to business and merging those two things together. And more recently been broadcasting on Good Morning Britain and Jeremy Vine. Also do a little bit of 5 Live and a few other different platforms, but the goal is just to communicate perspectives of humanity in different spaces, but also build systems and answers, structural answers that people can pass on, learn, and tools that they can use. As I mentioned earlier, there's also Men's Circle, which is an extension of Dope Black Dads, where we were able to speak to more men, because when I was doing Dope Black Dads, I very quickly realized that black men have more tools than white men do in navigating our own development, and mainly because we just have to. And I think people don't realize that because you are marginalized, you navigate the world with so many systems and tools and ideas in a way that whiteness doesn't prepare you for. So they're just like, we don't even have a community group. They haven't got a WhatsApp group. So Men's Circle is really powerful, and it's probably my favorite space at the moment.
Sure.
But everything is just trying to be more useful, right? And taking my skills and gifts, being of service to groups of people, being as useful as humanly possible, and then prioritizing my children within that.
Izzy Bambino said, right, it's just gone. Wow, didn't know Marvin had all these credentials outside of football.
Shouts to Izzy. I didn't even get to do the kickoff. So there was a point when I was doing a lot of, I think it was kind of George Floyd's, like imagine 2021, 2023, where it was actually quite overwhelming. And I realized that regardless of the tools that I had, I was just being overwhelmed by all the experiences, right? You have to understand, it's COVID, lockdown, people are dying left, right, and center, people are losing their jobs, their livelihoods, whatever. Then there's like George Floyd, and all of that was merged together to this really intense like bubble. And in that, there was lots of blessings that came, but there was also a lot of hardship. And it was just emotional than anything for me. I just remember shutting down. I think my body shut down for like 2 years.
Wow.
I had burnout for about 3 years. And I was like, this cannot be a cycle that I exist in. And so I was like, where is my joy and my pleasure? And football, like debating football, being in my school playground in 2000 or whatever, advocating for football was like the one place that couldn't be infiltrated. But so I went on to kick off. My friend True Geordie, I've known him for a very long time. I was on kickoff for about 2 years. And then I suppose I just realized that like actually the work must continue, but also those spaces aren't actually psychologically safe spaces for black people either. So I just pulled away, like, and it's not really anything to do with True Geordie. Just football creators are they don't even acknowledge race has a play in the industry of football. They constantly other it as like it's not really a thing, right? And it's just about a meritocracy. If you're good, you're good. And then you speak to football players, former footballers, current footballers, coaches. Obviously, the lack of coaches, lack of owners. Like we haven't even got an African billionaire that owns a club, right? There's none. So you start to realize that there is a separation very similar to the NFL in terms of race and the sport. And so I was like, I feel like I'm just moving my energy to somewhere else, and there's less tools, equipment, support, or even understanding in this world, and I'd rather focus on the things that I'm most passionate about changing.
You mentioned about people not understanding the whole need for, I guess, our people to have their own space and stuff. Do you find that black people don't even understand it too?
No, they don't know, but I don't. Again, I don't blame them for not knowing. I don't think the information is present. What's really interesting is when I launched Dope Black, right? The people that came out to help me was a lot of Jewish socialists, organizers, also white working class organizers from the 70s, 80s, trade unionists. They would like email me and be like, "I love what you're doing. It sounds like you're really going to help people. We want to sit down with you." And they'll come on Zoom and talk to me about what to expect, how to navigate certain things. And they said the biggest thing is going to come from within your own community. You have to be prepared for that, right? And it was really interesting because I think that information changed how I wished to exist. Like I'm happy to be of service, but I'm not really like a leader. Like, you know, when you talked about earlier about Elijah and Malcolm and what the expectation of the Black Messiah is. I'm not that, right? I'm from a council estate, from a single parent. There's a lot of information I didn't have. My nervous system is not regulated to be an empty book, right? I'm not here to be of service while being attacked, right? So I know what my limitations are. So the space that I can hold powerfully is I can share what I know and understand and synthesize it in a way that's hugely accessible and build things that people can use. But if you want to coexist with me, I operate at quite a high altitude of quite a large amount of selflessness, and most people can't do that, right? So you can't coexist with me in the immediacy, but I can give you the information and tools, build things and vehicles that allow people to do that, right? And I don't want to be a Black Messiah. Every Black Messiah I know had their head taken off. There's nothing aspirational in it. Like, even to be of service to like my death being a martyr, it's like, no, I actually need to raise my kids. So that's why I say my solution is in family, in community, through family, right? And so if you're aligned to my family, you feel my love in the most powerful way. You may not be as present to it if you're not in that bubble, right? And my job isn't to save a Black person who's like a Ginger J, because he's a Black man. It's like, you should reach out to him. And I'm like, how about I don't? How about I don't? How about I have hundreds of men that I'm accountable to, and I have a family of like 40 people in it that I'm central to. And if I look after, let's just say 100 people I'm looking after, I am punching way over my weight in terms of per capita contribution of other people. That's my work, right? Believing that it's every person that is of my skin type is a part of the delusion that has been the fall for many, right? I will look after 100 people and I'll fight for them, and I'll take that 100 people, improve their lives, the goal that they'll look after another group of people, and it will grow that way. That's my deepest belief.
That makes perfect sense to me. But what about the idea that if you have these tools, if you have an insight that other people don't have, you feel like this is the way that people can go, that maybe you've been chosen for that particular role?
Again, I think these ideas are ego wrapped up in philosophy, right?
Okay.
You have a finite. Let's talk about me. I have a finite capacity in all that I'm doing, right? Some of it is time, some of it is energy, some of it is like money, right? We are still in capitalism. I
Yep.
checked this morning. There is a mandate from my mortgage to go out at some point. So that still exists, right? So in many times, people are trying to manage a decline. And in that, they expect black leaders to be radical socialists who are ready to burn down everything at any given time.
Yep.
But they're not willing to burn down everything at any given time, right?
Facts.
There's no movement where we're outside ready to say we've had enough. It's like, right, I pay my rent because you burn everything down so that we can make a point about how angry we are about this thing because you're a leader and we support you for it. I'll say the other thing is that there just isn't enough love available to be a black leader at the forefront of everything that's going on. Take the licks that you get from whiteness, from your own community. And when I talk about capacity, is like, if you're not feeding the energy of somebody, asking more from them is a disconnect, right? I don't blame you for asking more or for what you consider black leaders. I'm just telling you the reality of it. They are human beings with a finite capacity and a very specific skill in a very particular area. When they use that skill, it's of great value, but don't believe that you can transfer that skill to just something else under the idea that they're black and they should do it. And don't believe that they have the capacity to do that, and they don't have to worry about their mortgage and their bills at the same time, just like you do, right? Most leaders I know are operating pretty much on maybe 3 to 6 months. A bad summer can ruin their lives, right? And so we have to be mindful about what we're asking of our people unless we have a genuine structure to hold leaders to be outside of the retribution of the system we're trying to destroy. Most of us can be swatted away in a quick summer with a little bit of focal power, and there's no support for us. So I worry for a lot of black leaders who believe that they are a messiah answer and they should be this perfect human being. I feel sorry for you because it's a burden and it's a weight that you can't fulfill. And you've not been taught to be that. You didn't have a group of elders sit down with you and be like, you are going to be our next leader, and feed into you and love you and affirm you and empower you to actually live through that on an ongoing basis. Many are just like, I'm really good at this, and let me just try and try. The trying is not noble, right? Without systems, you will be taken out, right? So build systems and clear ideas about what you have the capacity to do.
I'm seeing some people in the chat referencing one of our good brothers called Sally. Sally, basically, every now and again he calls up. He might call up today, to be fair. And Izzy Bambino says, is that the top, Brent?
Yeah.
Thank you. No, you just gone down. It's not at the bottom. Interesting. Starts with interesting. There it is, yeah. He says, interesting. I 100% agree with this, but Sally got cooked for a similar viewpoint about community. The viewpoints were definitely not the same, were they? I think.
What did Salah say?
Salah was basically, it was in response to the whole Ginger J thing. He was basically saying, why do we care about what Ginger J said? Really, you should just care about what your sister, your brother says, and your mom and dad.
Oh, no, we're not saying the same thing. You should care what Ginger J says. 100%. You know what it is? I think you go on, sorry.
I was going to say, doesn't Salah not date black women?
No.
He doesn't date them.
No.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. So
let's mind our business on that then.
Literally.
What's next? You can't protect black women if you refuse to date them. Right?
That's
right.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you guys talk to us.
You passioned the mic. You might as well finish what you're saying.
No. I was just gonna. These don't know how I feel about Salah anyway. So.
No, but I don't.
No, but like, that's the thing. I don't expect anything else from him. If you get what I mean. Like him saying that doesn't surprise me because you don't date black women. So I don't get. I'm not expecting you to be outraged or to even feel some type of emotion towards it.
Okay.
That was all.
To be fair to Saleh, he has dated black women. He currently had a Russian white, not Russian black.
Listen, if I was to explain what just happened when you said Russian, yeah, because I know you're just here to antagonize us because we're on camera in a different way. But cool. And by the way, this is not even personal to Salah. It's how who I listen to matters, right? And it matters on context. I don't think everybody black I should just listen to because you're black, right? Yeah. Or because you're a human being and you're alive. That's nonsense. I look for experience and I look for expertise. That's whose opinion that I'm interested deeply in. And the only way around those two things is if you are genuinely on the front line doing the work, right? So if you've built a shelter in the black community and you're trying to, or built a food bank or something, I really want to listen to you.
Yep.
if you're just a black person with an opinion, I'm most likely going to dismiss it and move on to opinions that are about building things, right?
100%.
And I think if you have values which are, I'm not dating black women, even if I said that out of my mouth today, I'm not dating. Even if I had a wonderful white woman in front of me and I was like, this is my current partner, right? But if I tell you that I'm not dating black women, or I don't date black women, it discounts you from conversations about black women, right? Doesn't mean that you don't love black people, that you can't help black people or whatever. It just means on this particular topic, you don't represent the values that are going to be helpful to what we're trying to achieve. And maybe this is where you can be silent and you can rest.
Totally agree, man. I think I would even extend that to like valuing the opinion of people who like the video. You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, I say it all the time because we always talk about, oh yeah, we need to gatekeep this, gatekeep that. Liking the video is tantamount to putting a nail in that same gate. You get what I'm saying?
Just prompt them.
Okay, cool. Like the video, please, people.
That is it.
All right, let's see what happens. All right. So you obviously mentioned about I guess one's responsibility should be focused on their family and whatnot, right? And by extension, hopefully that would extend to the wider community. Do you feel like that can then fuel the whole individualist mindset?
No, because your family shouldn't be at the cost of other people, right? So my family is multi-layered, and when I talk about my family, there's a family I created, there's a family I came from, there's a community that raised me, right?
Yeah.
My mum's friends are my aunts, and their children are my cousins, which are now feeling more like sisters because we're 40 years into coexisting together, right? So that is my family. I show up for all of them within my capacity. So I don't think it's individual. I think in whiteness, your very Eurocentric values are my The only people I care for is the family that I created. Everybody else, like, you don't see uncles and aunts play a role in the same way in Eurocentric families, right? And I think as a role, and by the way, some places like Italy, Southern Italy specifically, are different. They have their own cultural way. Mediterranean's different, Turkey's different. So it's not like, it's more like Western Europe, Northern Europe, right? They have different ways that they engage in family, and that's been made the way for all of us. But the one thing that we had to fight against white supremacy was family. And I think losing that has been a great detriment to us. So I always say start small. Like, if you raise a generation of kids that are loved and have a vision, mission, and ability and a skill set that's future proof, you're going to put yourselves at a advantage and be in the top 10% of our society, and that allows you the chance to build something more. I think then afterwards, it's like, if you have extra capacity and skill, then looking at the family you came from and supporting them the best you can and loving them regardless of whoever they are, right? Forgiving your parents is another act of that, because they came in the 70s where they were beaten in school and called monkey noises when they walked to school, and their parents used to make them step on, I don't know, someone in my extended family was like my grandparent, his grandparents, so they probably were born in the 1800s, were like getting me to sit on an anthill as punishment, right? So you got children who were raised in the condition and supervision of those people, who then tried to raise us with the idea that I'm just going to be here, right? That's more loving than the ones that left. And then now we're like, that wasn't enough because we've learnt more. And so we're the generation's going to be like, I'm going to be here and be loving. And that's where we are today. But it's going to take probably 2 more generations before we're raising naturally just a great group of human beings. But by then, the other psychological warfare might have been lost, and we may be further behind. So you're just trying to start small, man. Start within your capacity and your understanding, for sure.
What is? You can say, man.
Yeah, you're a big advocate for forgiving parents, isn't it? And the chat normally kind of pushes back against you. I mean, hearing you say that, does it depend on what the parents actually did and what they're still doing currently?
Yeah, but like I think forgiving isn't like accepting and normalizing whatever they did, right? So there's some people that you just think you could have done better, and there's people that were directly harmed and abused by their parents, and they haven't and will never get an apology from those parents, right? And the parents are still alive, and they refuse to hear their children's pain and challenge, right? I think parent to parent, that's not okay, and I'm with the child in that particular regard. What happens as your growth as a parent, you start to realize that you don't win when you cannot love the people who create you. Like, there's a inner peace that you cannot meet, and you can't meet and know love from another person until you learn to love the people that gave birth to you. So my perfect example is my dad has been estranged my whole life, right? I don't know him personally at all.
Wow.
And as I go through life and I become a dad, you sit there and you think, I'm a dad. How could you leave your child? Like, my children are so, I don't even want to go on holiday like right now, right? I'm really enjoying being present in their life. So for you to leave and not care and not show up and not ask questions is almost unfathomable to me. So my ego was telling me that, like, you must be a bad person because how on earth, right? And then I got mid to late 30s into my 40s, and I was like, do you know what? Yeah, my ego projecting that I'm this amazing dad because I stayed and I was able to do all these things is stopping me from hearing the context which he was a bad man in, right? And I don't forgive and accept anything, right? He has very little discerning features to talk about, and there aren't many people that would advocate for him. I'm saying I'm at peace with it, right? And to do that doesn't require them to do anything for me to earn it, right? It's just, I give it to you. It's my gift, is that I can be loving to you regardless of who you were and what you've done to anybody. And it has created a new depth of peace and understanding of who I am. And that's enough, right? Our parents went through some stuff, man.
Yes.
And I often ask people, like, have you actually asked your parents what happened? If you don't know, that's still the same as not asking. You don't know, right? It's like atheists and agnostics saying, I want to see proof, and you don't have any proof, right? You choose to have faith to believe regardless of not seeing and not knowing, right? Yeah. So I'm saying for your parents, it's the same level of grace. They may not be able to tell you, but they went through some stuff. It's impossible that you went through 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s without real things happening. The amount of people who are neurodivergent, our parents who are neurodivergent and were not allowed to be diagnosed or said that they're neurodivergent. There are a lot of people, as a result of being neurodivergent, develop mental health disorders because your constant reality is being challenged, and what you know to be true and real is not being accepted and mirrored back to you. So that became a really important thing, that if we're not going to be graceful and know that you could be neurodivergent, have mental health, you were probably deeply racialized in this country at every single stage of your life. Your parents were not able to emotionally connect and develop you in a loving way. You have no psychological safety, no physical safety. You have no economic foundation and grounding. And you had children, right? So I'm not saying this an excuse. I'm saying you grow to a point where it's an understanding that you were never going to be able to raise good children. That's not personal.
False equivalency, maybe, right? But
you're going to do it anyway.
100%. Go through some stuff.
Yep.
And didn't it inform the way he behaved? Where's the grace extended to Ginger J? This is just me asking the question.
So this is when we talk about Ginger J, right? This is why I say in the immediacy of what he did is so heinous, right? That's the kind of shit that, I've dragged people up for doing stuff like that before, right? Because it's so bad as a behavior, right? Doing it to women is something being normalized, where you can just yell at a woman, right, and scream at her, right? And also, a woman that you don't love is even worse, right? And I don't mean like because you love her, it's abusive. You have no relationship to her, right? So you've allowed yourself to be taken out of control to the point that you have left your mind and you've behaved that way for the world to see, and it's being recorded in front of other people, and the other men next to him didn't directly hold him to account for that level of frustration, right? But it's his responsibility to heal himself from whatever it is. I meet all of you. I don't know what your history is, right? So if you come out and start flipping and you make me feel unsafe, or you make this lady feel unsafe, you're going to meet me regardless, right? And I think that that's what I think is missing. So the grace comes way after, and an understanding that there are lots of men like him around, right? We just don't get to see it.
Yeah.
We have to work. This is why I hold men's circles for free. There's no transacting with any of my spaces, right? I hold it because I was a version of that guy. That anger was in me, and I didn't even know why. You have to understand, like, going to rage as a way to protect yourself, as a way to, when you feel like you don't have justice, right? When you feel like I'm telling my mom that something's going on for me and you're not listening and I don't get why, right? I lose respect for the role of femininity, right? And womanism in our community. So that allows me to dehumanize you enough that I can yell at you with my full capacity. That's intellectualizing event after the matter. Yeah. But I'm not in Ginger J's life to play that role, right? If he was in my circle, he would have got a phone call that day. We would have had a meeting that day, right? And I know that no one in my circle is going to go to that lengths because they have been given tools of how to deal with it. And if it does happen, they have a community that is now holding them. He doesn't clearly have that. So that's what the problem is. So I don't want to be lost in Ginger J land, right? Because it is a bigger problem that requires attention outside of the moment when he has harmed black women specifically. We need to then look at that later. My space, if he's actually welcome, come and sit with us and learn about the work we're doing. It doesn't deny his truth of his experiences, but the way you communicated it is the number one violation that is unworkable and unsustainable in our community.
Yeah.
So the reason why I said that is because you said that our parents went through some stuff, right? And as a result of that, this is how they basically read us. And does that now extend to us now knowing better? But we can have different problems, traumas, stimuluses that now have us treating our children in a particular way.
No, absolutely. I understand why, but I don't accept. So I always talk about don't be beating your children under any circumstances. Don't put your hand. That's the peak of white supremacy because they don't even beat their own, right? So they teach that to us as a way to control.
I don't think
Brother
believes this.
Who doesn't believe this?
The peak of white supremacy.
So, okay, regardless, I'm not going to debate. I'm telling people at home, it's not a debate. You have to understand, abuse cannot be debated. It's problematic to debate it, right? You can share your view on why you think you want to beat your children. I'll tell you you're wrong, and I'll tell you exactly why. Then the conversation's over. I'm not going back and forth on people that put their hands on minors, right? You have to also understand that how we relate to our parent is how they're going to relate to you. When you're old, you think the person that you licked up, beat up, dragged around is going to come and get you at your old age when your knees don't work. You think their love and the way they're going to love your grandchildren is going to be appropriate as a result of you putting your hands on them. It is the most abhorrent thing you can do to your children is hit them, right? And I feel there are so many powerful ways, right, that you can show up in your child's life that honors the relationship you have with them. They're your creation. Right? So if you can beat your children, there's no way you love yourself. There's no way you can tell me you love yourself, create something and beat it in its infancy of development. Impossible. Also, the second part of if you understand humanity and the stage in which a child enters the world compared to other animals, for example, right? We enter the world so much younger and underdeveloped than even animals. Some animals have 3 years worth of pregnancy, right? They're developing inside the womb. Our children come out as dumb and touching and grabbing and yelling and screaming and kicking. And of course, that is a part of their expression and discovering before they're socialized. You don't socialize them with beating, you socialize them with lessons, right? Most of us don't have the capacity to parent properly, so we parent and justify it with intellectual layers of why we do it. For me, that is weakness, right? If you're having children, that's when you start preparing yourself to have the capacity to teach them and guide them, right? Think more like Arteta, and less like white supremacy.
Come on. So our parents didn't love themselves?
Who? Hell no. Have you met your parents? They didn't love us. You have to understand, they even told that you shouldn't love yourself.
Just stop being a mouse here.
No, you're listening. You have to understand.
He's not used to it.
The education that we have growing up here is that you should share before you've even enjoyed your own blessings, right? You get given a ball as a child and it's like, it's my present. I ain't even play with my own Barbie yet, but you got me sharing it with my brother, sister, and the person next door. We don't even know about self. We have no self-interest. We're here trying to be of service, and we wonder why when it doesn't come back. We start saying about the world. So when I go on TikTok and I'm here my friends don't support me, my friends don't do this, it's like, do you love yourself anyway? You're looking for the world to validate your existence because you've never, ever been told that you can validate it yourself. You don't even know it's possible. So when I see that transferred into children, it breaks my heart, right? I'm ungovernable because I choose myself first. When I tell people that, it triggers them because it's like a man being self-interested must be about sex and money. And I'm like, if you reduce me to that, that's all you will see. So when people show up to me in that way and they think that's all men are, I just switch them off because you don't understand, right? I am a disciplined man of choice.
Come on.
Right? I don't need you to celebrate me and tell me who I am or make me anything. And I think a lot of the time, parents specifically, if you haven't intentionally become a parent, you're halfway back anyway. And that's not an attack. That's just a happening, right? Many people have had children through many circumstances. But if you haven't intentionally sat there and thought, I want to have children because I can deliver this experience, I'm ready, you are halfway back. then the experience of doing it is going to take you further and further back. The social macroeconomic environment is going to take you further and further back to the point that you are parenting from your most reduced self, your lowest vibration of survival, and they are not going to have an experience that is going to create love in between you and them.
That papaya girl talks about vibrations too, you know.
Victoria Everest. Yeah, many people mimic. And many people mimic Christianity to put badness in the world.
There you go.
I'm here for you, you know.
I love it. So I'm a believer now. I'm going to put the belt down.
Of who? Victoria Everest or Jesus?
No, my children.
He's not going to beat his
Yeah. I'll stop today.
Oh, you beat your children?
You don't have children.
Oh.
But I will.
He may have children. He just doesn't know yet. He's got to text some more people.
A virgin. So Emmanuel, you were very quiet. Like you say, you were listening.
Because that's what I do. 100%. I believe there's a spectrum to it.
So like ADHD. What's the spectrum of beating your children?
Because I think it depends on the intention. Granted, you might be taking from 100%. You might be coming.
You're not gonna get this off, but I'm gonna try and be silent. I'm not gonna look at you, and then I'm gonna say one thing, and I'm gonna let it go.
No, sorry. Obviously, based on what you said, we're obviously gonna disagree, right? But you have to understand from the perspective of, like, from my perspective anyway, I don't think beating should be your default. But I do believe that sometimes in some situations, that might be the thing that you kind of draw for. Am I basically saying that's justified in every single way? No. But what I do believe is you have to focus on the chief aim. My chief aim of raising my children is to make sure they're the most productive human beings and they live out God's purpose for their lives. And sometimes you need to be very harsh because we live in a world where if you don't prepare them for it, they will be treated in a particular way by the world. That's how I see it. Do you know what I'm saying? I believe you can marry the two ideas of me being very disciplined with you, but also showing that I love you more than anything.
Cool. So I love you, right? And I want you to stop beating your children.
Cool.
My aim to get you to do that is to beat the shit out of you until you accept that you are never going to beat your children again, right? Can I proceed?
No.
Brother, please don't ever use violence as an aim to achieve anything in terms of transforming people. The only thing that violence does, and all that it does create, right, is a resistance. That's all it does, right? Not a resilience, a resistance to whatever it is that you're saying. The physiological change that you are trying to create is done by invitation. It's never done by abuse. Abuse is an excuse for a lack of skill in getting your point across as to why it should be happening. Also understand that if I'm trying to get a far right, undereducated person with their bare belly out with 2 convictions for domestic violence, right, to come over and understand that trans lives matter, right? Yeah. I'm never going to reach it. I can beat him or invite him. I'm not going to reach it. If your child is underdeveloped, and their brain hasn't got to the point and their nervous system hasn't got to a point to understand danger, risk, and environment, you cannot be the teacher through your abuse. You have to be your teacher by the invitation, by repetition. That is what children need. And most important, what they need is a safe environment to get it wrong and figure it out from there. 100%. What ends up happening in hardening children is when they have been beaten and punished and they believe that they survived it and they're okay, but their nervous system is not okay. And every time they are confronted, because I did that intentionally, right? You shifted when I said, can I beat it into you? Your body shifted, your eyes shifted, you looked at me differently, you didn't look at me loving anymore, right? No, and I'm saying to you, I listen, and I'm saying to you, with all the love in the world, right? Because the thing about men connecting, having this conversation with other men is we have to sharpen each other.
100%.
Right? There is nothing about me that wants to convince you and beat you into submission energetically, physically, emotionally, or any of those things. I want to invite you to let you know, whether you are present to it today or not, that as you do it, you will realize not only does it not work, it breaks things that it can never repair, right? And the only person that it will consequence is you. Yeah. Because your children will find an answer in the future. They'll go to therapy, they'll be invited into an understanding, and they will come at you, look at you in a way and be like, you're that guy and I have no affinity to you at all.
You see, I hear what you're saying, but I feel like you're talking about the absolute extreme. You know what I'm saying? Where you're talking about abuse. You see what I'm saying? Like,
it's all abuse.
I don't see it as that.
Okay. That's the fundamental point, right?
And that's exactly.
what we have to do, right, is understand that, yes, you can have a difference in opinion. Abuse is not an opinion, right? If you want to be a hateful, violent person and hit people, right, and use intellect to justify it, then just say that's what it is. Like, I just say to racists, like, if you want to be racist, just be racist. Don't dance it in like, no, this is an opinion. It's just like, I'm racist, right? And own it, right? There's a power in owning your racism, your misogyny, your desire to abuse vulnerable people. Just say that and walk around the world like that, right? But the thing is, you want people to celebrate your right to be abusive and your opinion around being abusive. It's abuse. Hitting somebody that cannot hit you back is abuse. We say we can't hit women, but you can hit children. What's the logic in that?
No, don't get me wrong. I hear what you're saying, and I think
you don't hear what I'm saying.
No, I do. No, I tell you why. I do. Because for me, it takes a lot to get to that point, and this is where I kind of agree with what you're saying, because it's like that means you haven't come up with another strategy to arrive at the same point, right? But I think for me, as an African man, as somebody who's also aligns himself with certain spiritual systems and things of that nature, I believe you see it replete throughout human history. The Bible talks about it. The Quran talks about it. The need to the whole spare the rod situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's for a reason. Like, sometimes I think we look back at history and act as though for I don't know, 10,000 years, like everyone was just stupid. You know what I'm saying? No, the reality is there were some things that we have thrown away that we think is completely useless or completely bad. And a lot of the issues with society is because we've thrown away these systems. Do you get what I'm saying? So my thing is, I will never abuse my child. Again, this is from my perspective of what abuse is. I can never get to the point where I'm thinking, oh, I'm doing this. And I said this on the show one time before. I always make sure, of course, I'm not a perfect human being, but I always make sure that I know that my child responds in a particular way where she knows that I love her. If ever I thought I saw any of that diminish, I have to interrogate every action of mine. Do you see what I'm saying? But my thing is, I know I balance it. At least from my perspective, that's what I think. You know what I'm saying? Because, and also, I don't want to give the impression that this is what I do regularly. It's obviously not the case, right? But I still believe it to be a form of discipline that sometimes some children need in order to get them onto that straight and narrow.
Okay, can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Right. When you get, there's two things. First thing is when you get the awareness of it being otherwise from her mouth, please accept it with grace.
1,000,000%.
The second thing I would say is, I think it's valuable if you can, in under 30 seconds, summarize what your viewpoint is, because I want it to be clear.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't want it to be any hangover about being understood.
Yeah.
Right? So take that time to have that, right? And I would like to say one thing in closing.
Sure.
And then I'd like to stop. Is that fair?
Fair.
Powerful.
So what, you want me just to summarize?
Yeah, what is the most important thing you would love people to understand about your particular approach on this subject?
I think the most important thing is I think it's tied to, at least from my perspective, about destiny and your role as a parent, bringing a child into the world. You are the guardian of this divine being. Do whatever is necessary to make sure they live out the purpose that they put here for. You see what I'm saying? As much as I am not opposed to, whatever it is, you might call it abuse or whatever it may be, right? But discipline my child. Again, to me, you have to balance it with particular things. If I felt as though I didn't have to in any way, shape, form, or fashion, then I wouldn't. But my thing is never thinking abuse, like beating up a child or all that sort of stuff. Like, I'm not for any of those things, but I am for saying, come here, you know what I'm saying? Because what you did was more severe than the other thing. And I've said this to you 3 or 4 times. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand there's consequences to things. And I will not be here forever. You see what I'm saying? The world will teach you a lesson. Please understand these are the consequences. And if you can understand something that's maybe relatable to your age, a small something, but still relatable to your small age, you understand there's consequences for every action. Right? You know what I'm saying? When you get older, that might be relatable to your big age. You know what I'm saying?
Beyond 30 seconds, but cool.
But exactly. That's basically that's what I want to say. Cool. Pretty much. Yeah, man.
My invitation to parents that are listening, right, is that your children are not a blank slate for you to mold with your abuse. My invitation is that you can shape them through example because they watch you and they mirror you. You also understand that as you parent from a place of fear, you inject fear where fear shouldn't exist. Right? What you should be teaching your children is that you believe in their ability to find an answer, to navigate their environment whatever happens. And what you then need to do is put them in safe environments to navigate challenges and figure out what they need to do and who they need to become to navigate it. They need you as to be a safe space for them to return to after their failures. And they can only do that if they don't fear you. That's my invitation. And whatever works will work. And as you get the awareness, I hope you make an adjustment.
Yeah.
Cool.
Question
It's
from
funny.
Ed.
No, go on.
Sorry, Manuel. What does Marvin advocate for outside of violence when it comes to discipline?
So for me, it's about consistency. It's consistency about how you show up. What you will learn about children is that they really do see you. They see you in the purest way, and they also see when you cut corners, right? And if you don't put language to what you're hiding from, they will adopt that behavior and mirror it back to you. So I've never hit my children. I tried to joke, threaten my children. They started laughing at me, and I was like, "This is so hilarious, right?" And so basically, we had the summer holidays. We had the wild, fun summer holidays. No rules, no patterns, right? We got back into some of our foundations the week before to get into pattern, and I pulled out this imaginary stick from a flag that we had from Carnival, and I was like pretending to beat them and be like, "You guys are gonna behave. You're gonna get back into shape, right?" And they were busting up. So I was like, "Right, you guys don't really have any." And then I said, "No, all right, so clean the skirting boards," and I had them clean one of the skirting boards. It's like, this is what we used to do as a child, right? And I sat there, and they were just looking at me like, "What are you doing?" So I was like, they cleaned the skirting boards, and they got back into bed, and I was like, "Right, so that's what we do." We were trying to do this whole talk about it, and I was like, "Marvin, what the fuck are you doing? My children don't even need to know that. They are consistently powerful communicators, high achievers, top of their class.
Come on.
They are captains of their football team. They are committed to all of their things. What am I doing?"
Yeah.
Even as a joke, it was a bad idea, right? And I'm saying it was a genuine joke, right?
Yeah.
And I sat there and I thought, I've done the work with them. They are who they say they are,
Yeah.
right? And only my fear of what that may mean is going to get me to make that, even as a joke, right? And I think often for us, because we've seen bright sparks be extinguished, fear tells us that we have to prepare our children for the worst, right? And you're like, when you advocate for who you're preparing your children for to avoidance of hurt, it's like it's parents, it's children that have been abused that go on and hurt other children. And then so we abuse our children to prepare them for the abused children, rather than the powerful education that they need to go be above it. Like most of the stuff that we deal with, right, is in extreme conditions that are created usually via poverty and the absence of love. So it's super important that we don't create it artificially to prove the point. So I know it doesn't work, and I know who my children are, and I'm protecting my children from your children by making sure they are constantly elevated and clear about why they are here. They're not here to be pawns for your children to manipulate or to beat up on. So they will be trained in self-defense as a skill, but not as an act of rage to use against other people to oppress them. They will know the difference. That's where I think is powerful.
To be fair, the more you're talking, I feel like the difference between our approaches is that I'm willing to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? But I carry out everything you're saying. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I might threaten it. I might say, come here. And then she'll, you know what I'm saying, stop. And never do it. You know what I'm saying? But I might do it a couple of times, maybe a year or something, right? But, like...
It's a daughter, right?
Yeah.
I count that as worse, by the way.
I hear you. You know what I'm saying?
You can't socialize your daughters through physical abuse. It will translate into their intermale personal relationships, subconsciously or consciously, and it's really important that we don't normalize that. I was in 2 abusive relationships when I was 18 to 21, right? And I just didn't even know I was in one. I just didn't have a clue. I just thought this is what love was, and my role as a man was to love her better, and she wouldn't be problematic in her behavior, or she wouldn't lash out with rage. And I, you know, one day I just sat there, and she threw like a ashtray at me, and it hit my lip, and I'm tasting my own blood, and I'm like, this ain't right, you know. This is not okay, right? And again, I'm saying to people that abuse is a culture, right? And we all harm each other because we were harmed, and we think I have to get mine up because of what's happened to me. And when you take from the world in that way, it's only a matter of time before it all falls on you, right?
Yeah.
This is why I say a massive part of my development is removing myself from the cycle of abusive interpersonal relationships into a space where I develop strong boundaries about who I am.
Yeah.
And I enact those on a regular basis. As a result, I don't find myself in certain consequences. Victoria Everest wouldn't last 24 hours in my presence, not because she's beautiful or not. I just don't care if you're beautiful. It's who you are, right? And I think when we teach our children that from that perspective, they will protect themselves because they won't need anything from anyone to get them close enough to abuse them. And that's the fundamental education. So I think you will find soon new ways of existing, because I think from what I'm observing of your energy, you're having a moment of awareness, and I want to allow you to have that.
Just to interrupt for a second. One, we have 10 more minutes left with Marvin. He definitely needs to pull back up because we need to continue this conversation. We need to start the conversation, to be honest.
Yeah, innit?
It's a jab about my
That's a
tardiness.
conversation in itself.
If I ever told you what I was doing at 5 to 8, you wouldn't even. So I apologize.
No, that's all right. That's all right. And secondly, good morning, Stacy. I just want him to experience this aspect of the show where the community actually chimes in.
Shouts to Stacey. Wagwan.
Good morning, y'all.
Good morning. Good morning.
I don't want to go into the rabbit hole of this why, children should or should not receive, whoopings. We've talked about this many times. But I just think that this word abuse, like, words have definitions. So, like, can we please just like use them as they're defined? Because I'm very confident that the entire point of something being classified as abuse has a lot to do with intent to harm. And I think intent to harm and intent to discipline is a very big distinction when it comes to this topic that I feel like people just get overly passionate, and because they don't agree they start using like weight words with a lot of excess weight. So me personally, my stance, use your discernment. Like, I'm very curious to see the outcome of this new generation of what people are calling soft parenting, gentle parenting, whatever the case may be. Like, I think the pendulum has swung too far in the opposite direction. I've always said that our parents, the issue, and I think, Marvin, you said this when you were talking earlier, like, the point is to teach children a lesson. Like, it's course correction, for lack of a better term. Like, and our parents thought that the lesson was the whooping, when in fact the whooping just enforced compliance out of fear. I've always said no. Sometimes, all the time, not even sometimes, the whooping should have always been coinciding with a conversation where the child understands what it is they did wrong and why it is wrong. Sometimes the conversation can be had alone, but a lot of times, depending on the child, that force needs to be inflicted for them to get it. That's just my stance. But
This is live, right?
Yeah.
Stacey. First and foremost, thank you for raising that point, because I think it's a really important distinction. And you're right in terms of using language to amplify a point, right? And that's normally a tool used by people who are underinformed to kind of add weight. Like, all my friends agree with me, like that kind of energy, right? And I agree with you. People do that. In terms of being abused, it's not about the individual's intention in terms of what they are trying to do. It's about how the body receives it, right? And so when we talk about what that does to your child, whether they will name it as abusive or not, your body will acknowledge it as such, because it is a foreign interpretation. It doesn't translate. If I tell my children no, the language is communicable and it's universal what no means. A slap can mean multiple nuanced things, and in that lack of understanding, there is room for confusion. And what that gets interpreted is, as young adults and as adults in relationship, more than not will turn as a bad thing, as a negative thing for them. And I'm saying what it also does to your interpersonal relationship with your children, because, as you know, adults are also children of somebody. And that partnership that you have as a parent to a child is much longer than the infant moments where they make those mistakes. And you need to have the relationship to be able to guide your parents, even when your children, even when they're adults. That's my invitation. And I hope you can receive that, the same love that I received your points.
I still disagree, but to each his own. I get what you're saying about the intent part. Yes, but still, I. This is not the point of the conversation, so we'll save that for another day.
Mm.
All right, thank you very much, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacey.
When ASD pulls back up, make sure you're front and center. You get me?
Can I just quickly just say one tiny thing as well, quick here? So, and I wanted to double check, but abuse is the act and what happened, right? There is no definition that infers what the intention was. It's just the act, right? So I can accurately call something abuse if the act itself is considered abuse, in my view, right? Abusive is the person, right? It's a quality of nature. So I will say you're abusive, right? Rather than saying you are, the actual thing was abusive. So the correct phonology may help, etymology, sorry, may help people understand.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Invite me back though, innit? Because I want to hang out. I like your audience. You know, they're my favorite part. I'm not gonna lie. That's not. But Stacey was put her point across really beautifully. And I always wish for audiences like that.
Yeah, we definitely gonna make it happen, man. You know what I'm saying? We'll definitely arrange another time. But all right, Brent, let's go into some more headlines.
All right.
All right, people. So our next headline: more than 200 hikers stranded by a blizzard on the Tibetan slopes of Mount Everest remain to be rescued, with Chinese state media saying that they all have been contacted by authorities. Some 350 others have been guided to safety by rescuers, this according to media reports. Heavy snow trapped hundreds of tourists trekking in the Tibetan Valley leading to Mount Everest's eastern face over the weekend at the start of an 8-day national holiday in China. The location is popular with tourists, especially during the so-called Golden Week holiday. Next headline, trigger warning on this one, people. Trigger warning. And Giselle Pelicot returns to court on Monday to face an appeal of one of dozens of men convicted raping her while she was in a drug state. This is encounters that her husband recorded. Remember we spoke about this not too long. Was it early this year? I think early this year, maybe last year. The initial trial of 51 men horrified France and raised disturbing questions about the pervasiveness of rape, the use of pharmaceuticals to abuse women, and the uncomfortably familiar faces of rapists who were also fathers and neighbors. In the 10 days after the first trial, 17 of the men found guilty appealed. All have withdrawn their appeals but one. One of Mr. Duggan's lawyers, this is the person. Basically, Hosametin Duggan, he's one of the people that have appealed, right? Sorry, withdrawn their appeal. One of his lawyers, Jean-Marc Darrigade, said that he would contest both his conviction for aggravated rape and also his 9-year sentence. He said the defense's case would revolve around the moment Mr. Duggan realized Mr. Pellico was not in a normal state and what actions he took. As a victim, she's not obliged to attend the appeal trial, but feels it's totally impossible to stay away. And our last headline, trigger warning on this one, some more sad news. The death toll following the collapse of an Islamic boarding school in Indonesia has tragically risen to 36. This is up from 16 just a day prior. The nation's disaster mitigation agency confirmed this on Sunday. Search and rescue operations are now in their 7th day as teams desperately scour the rubble for 27 students still unaccounted for. These missing individuals are predominantly teenage boys aged between 13 and 19 who remain trapped beneath the debris. Cranes were deployed to evacuate debris, and search and evacuation efforts were 60% complete, according to the agency, which said it expected to clear all debris and finish the search today. And that's it for our headlines. I see, Brent, you keep putting.
I don't like when. Oh, it's crazy. I'm seeing things differently, bro. I don't know why they're seeing things like this.
Why?
I don't know.
We're not debating
At all.
I think it's because of what happens when I talk to them.
Probably.
I said this before. Obviously, this is not a debate. We've not debated. We're just dialoguing. They're not used to black men dialoguing.
It's crazy.
Because you guys want to act other than. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on. But I've said this before, like John Henry Clark said, I only debate my equals. Everybody else I teach.
On.
You guys have just been getting lessons.
Come on.
It's just been getting lessons.
I don't think
so please. Everyone's just been getting lessons. But yeah, but that's pretty much it for the headlines.
Right.
Let's do a quick reaction.
All right. Awesome.
You're Arsenal.
You Arsenal? Yeah.
You say yes.
Yeah. Obviously, he won't.
Did you ask him the question?
Yeah. What happened?
He stopped watching it when it is that we got rid of Wenger.
Okay.
You understand? There you go.
I took a break, I worked at Man City at the time, and
And
I
you
was
came
just
back?
took a break.
Great minds. You people
just
just
took a
want to
break.
separate. I'm telling you.
I was out of football. I think when you work in football, you don't watch it as much anyway. But I was working at Man City, and I was having a great time. I went to a couple cup finals, a couple semi-finals, Champions League. It was a good fun, man.
Big up Arsenal, man.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying? No, but like I said in the show, I just didn't like the way people disrespected Wenger, man. And again, maybe that same part of me is why, again, when we get into these discussions about Malcolm and Elijah, I don't like it when people like really dedicate their lives to a particular thing, uplift the thing, and all people can do is criticize.
I want to discuss with you why that is.
All right, cool.
How much time do we have, man?
2 minutes.
You don't have much
Okay.
time.
I have to come back, man.
I have to quit my career. Like I actually got shit to do. But this is more fun. At some point, we need to discuss why.
100%,
I have a
man.
view, but I think it's a loving view as well, by the way. But I think that detachment will serve you. And I think, especially to external entities, to yourself, right? I think sometimes, especially as I don't want to profile you in any way, but I think as a type of people that we want to be understood, because I'm similar. I spent a long time wanting to be understood and wanting to be respected, respected for my observations and what I know. And so arming myself with knowing was a way to navigate. And I realized that there is always someone who knows more, right? And there's always someone that can there's always an element of
100%.
that. And I think what I became peaceful with is like, am I operating at my best, right? And how am I being? What energy do I create in the spaces that I'm in? And I think about someone like Arsene Wenger who stayed in a space while it was toxic for too long. And he created meaning about why he was there, whether it be like, oh, we had to secure the financing for the stadium and da-da-da-da-da. And make it sound like he's overstaying was noble, but his passion for football was such that he didn't even create children, right? He didn't have a family. Wow. And in the end, his wife left him, and they're still good friends, but she left him for someone who would be present with her, right? And I think when you think about those things, you understand the man better, right? And it's not a noble cause to overstay your welcome and to believe that you're doing good. And he didn't leave in time. And it made his legacy questioned when it should have been the most pure and preserved concept of Arsenal in our living memory.
When is the men's thing that you?
Oh, the men's circle is on Saturday. We're doing it at Shoreditch House.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't mind talking.
Come.
You lot try and get me, man.
Space.
I'm too quick, man. I'm too quick.
For all men from all backgrounds, come and vibe out with us.
Come on.
Dope. All right, cool. So the reaction, just a quick one, just to tell you guys the scores. So on Saturday, Leeds lost at home, man, to Tottenham Hotspurs. Arsenal beat West Ham 2-0. Man United beat Sunderland 2-0. Chelsea beat Liverpool 2-1. I saw the highlights of that, man. What was it, 95th minute? Something like that.
It's a good game.
Yeah. Sunday, Aston Villa beat Burnley 2-1. Everton beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Wolves drew with Brighton 1-1. Newcastle beat Nottingham Forest 2-0. And Brentford lost to Man City 1-0. The only other thing I wanted to mention with regards to boxing is David Morrell. You guys know him from light heavyweight division. He's scheduled to fight Callum Smith, man, early 2026. The fight is likely to take place in Saudi Arabia. This is what's been suggested by Eddie Hearn. And yeah, just wanted to mention that. And also, Keith Thurman. For those of you who remember Keith Thurman, he had a good run many moons ago, right? But he's back, right? And he's fighting the title holder, Fundora. And basically, he's come out to try and justify why he's even got this shot, right? So he basically argues that he deserves the shot against Fundora due to an injury that prevented him from fighting Tim Tszyu. This was back in 2024, right? Obviously, a lot of people disagree with that, citing his long periods of being inactive and things of that nature. And obviously, I think prior to that, the last fight he had was against Pacquiao, where he was expected to win, lost that fight. And but at the same time, that was his only loss at the time, right? And his recent activity includes a win against Brock Jarvis. This was back in early this year, March 2025. This was after a 3-year layoff. But no disrespect, but who's Brock Jarvis? You know what I'm saying? Like, he came in, obviously, you got the victory, knocked him out, but it wasn't really anything spectacular. He's going to lose to Fundora, you know what I'm saying? But it will be good for him to actually get that shot for a title at 154. And that is all I wanted to mention. I believe I mentioned Dave Allen was meant to be fighting, and there were talks about him potentially fighting Wilder. But I believe, obviously, that would mean he has to get past Makhmudov, who he's going to be fighting. Is it this weekend? I think it's this weekend. So yeah, that's going to be a good fight to see, man. Hopefully, he can get the job done, man. He's looking fit. A lot of time, Dave Allen gets into the ring kind of overweight, not in shape. but he's looking good, man. So all the best to him. And Ed, thank you for putting Marvin's information on the screen. IG Discover with Marvin. You got two
It's also beloved,
IGs,
isn't it?
isn't it?
Yeah, so Discovery of Marvin is like the platform I created, which basically allows me to be curious and find stuff out and put it there. And Marvin Harrison was just my personal page. I basically used to post my kids a lot, and then I got some interesting characters commenting on it, so I just stopped, and I kind of created a bit of a distance between my work and my page. But they're both active, man. I think I made an editorial error with Arsene Wenger. He does have a child, Leah Wenger. I'm aware of. I think my sentiment more was he underdeveloped his family, much like Alex Ferguson, really. I think by just overcommitting to football for too long.
Yeah.
And I think at the point of leaving Arsenal was a time to retire, but his desire to stay in football, hasn't been able to save his marriage. And I think a lot of men, he's fine, like he's probably with somebody now, but I think a lot of men sacrifice their family they create for their purpose.
That's true.
And I think it's a balance that we have to get better at.
I think that's definitely one of the things we need to talk about when you come back, man.
For sure.
But yes, I believe that is it. Appreciate you, my good brother, for turning up and blessing us with your wisdom and your presence.
It's been fun. I when I came in, I didn't have a clue what was going on. We were talking about Islam, and I was looking around for some sort of nod as to where I jump in. But no, it was super dope, and I think exploring these concepts and even better with a live audience makes it one of my favorite platforms. So I'll keep tuning in, man. Thank you.
Appreciate that,
Thanks
man.
for coming.
Yes. People, like the video, please. I'm prompting them, like you said, Brent. You know what I'm saying? Like the video, please. We are on Patreon as well, remember. We've got 5 different tiers, 5 bags of different perks, man. Amazing perks, man. Believe me. Go and check it out. This actual, the main bulk of the conversation will be on YouTube for free anyway. So you ain't going to miss nothing. But that's for the whole of Black History Month, right?
Yep.
So again, every day we're trying to give you some amazing heavyweight guests, man. You know what I'm saying? That can edify the community. Please tune in, man. We'll be back here tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Appreciate you all, man.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you, everyone.